Hello Wolfpack. Today we're going to be back here jumping into Bitcoin, jumping into Ethereum, and also jumping into things like Bitcoin dominance and trying to understand whether Bitcoin dominance is even relevant anymore. And that's an interesting question we can talk about later on in the video. But first and foremost, we've got Bitcoin here on Binance, and we have seen a pretty strong downwards trend over the last week. And we can see that that downwards trend is not actually getting weaker. It's actually getting stronger. We can see that by the volume, right? The volume is increasing during this downwards trend, which is an indication that not only is the selling continuing, but the selling is continuing at higher volume, which means the price is moving down faster and faster. It's actually accelerating. So the lower we go, the more people are convinced that it's a good time to sell, and hence the more people sell. Either they're convinced it's a good time to sell, or they panic and they sell, which would be panic selling, right? But the point of the matter is we're seeing a sharp downwards trend with volume increasing, which is very intriguing because we're heading into a major macro support zone, which is obviously this yellow uptrending line. So increasing volume in a downwards trend, heading into major support, that generally is an indication that that major support zone will not hold, or at least will, suffer a very, very strong and a very, very intense retest. So it will be very interesting to see what happens in Bitcoin in the next few days, right? Because obviously, I'm not a believer personally that we're going to bottom out into Q4. I've spoken about that many times in past videos, based on the macro situation, based on the 4-year cycle theory, which indicates Q4 is the bottom. I don't think we'll bottom out into Q4, but I cannot deny that this macro uptrending line is definitely a prominent support zone, and we need to take it seriously. And this is why it's so interesting to see a sharp downwards trend over the last 7 days, a breakdown from a shorter term structure. We had an Adam and Eve formation, which is a pattern of reversal, which is a triangular top followed by a rounded top, and then straight into this downwards trend. We saw a rational price action, which indicates that we're at a major, support resistance region. That's when you see those scam pumps and scam dumps. It's when it's major regions, and hence there's high volatility and high, levels of manipulation amongst the whales. And now we're straight into a bearish pennant formation, right? Very interesting stuff, okay? And that's going to be breaking within the next few hours. It might even break by the time this video gets out. So increasing volume in a downwards trend, going into a major macro support. That's kind of the big question. That's kind of the whole point of this video to a certain extent. It's like, well, what's going to happen here? And we don't know, obviously. And I'm just updating you on the situation. We don't know what's going to happen. But what we can say is that the weekly candle closes in 24 hours. And this kind of leaves Bitcoin in a very interesting position. If we close the weekly candle below 18K, that would be a breakdown below this macro uptrending line, and that would confirm lower prices on Bitcoin. And since there's nothing between 18K, there's nothing between that macro line and 14K to 12K, which is where we think the bottom's going to be most likely, somewhere in that region, that would probably send us to that region. So this is where we kind of get into the kind of the nitty gritty. We think, well, what would happen if Bitcoin broke down right now? And we said before, okay, so we can draw where we think it's going to go if it breaks down right now, because the next major support zone, we can look at the volume profile and show you this, but I'm just going to make you take my word for it because I'm not going to, waste time doing that. That's just the reality. That is the next major support zone. 11.5K to 13.5K. That's the next major support. So if we break down from this macro uptrending line, it would reason for us to just do something like this very quickly and get down there and then form the macro bottom and then do that. And that would look very normal, because in typical bear markets, what have we done? Well, we've formed those rounded bottoms. Look at 2014, for example, rounded bottom. Look at 2018, rounded bottom, right? It would make sense to form some sort of rounded bottom. The only problem is, as per the 4-year cycle theory and as per the macro situation, we would not be expected to do that until Q4. And so breaking down right now below this macro support line would be a little bit early. And so what I would kind of say is that, it would make more sense at this point for us to bounce off of this line, see some sort of actual dead cat bounce in which people get back into the market, they start getting interested again. I don't know what exactly it'd look like, probably something like that, and then come back down later and then break down and form that rounded bottom towards Q4. That would make a lot more sense to me. And you'd ask, well, why is that? Well, what we've actually done on Bitcoin that a lot of people aren't looking into too much is we've actually broken down from a major support zone. That major support zone is 28.6K to 32.6K. Usually when you break down from a major support zone, you generally speaking see some sort of resistance support flip. Now, I don't know if we'll get all the way back up there, but the point still stands. We're probably going to bottom around Q4. It's not Q4 yet. And so, well, would it make sense for us to break down right now? I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, if we break down, we know what's going to happen. Do we think it's going to happen now? Probably not. But considering the fact that we have increasing volume in a downwards trend, considering the fact that we had an Adam and Eve formation play out to the downside, and considering the fact we're in a bearish pennant formation, which is likely to break to the downside if we're taking a measured move from that pennant formation from the top of the round and top formation to the bottom of the pennant formation, applying it to the breakout zone, we can see it is targeting well down here at 16k. And again, whether that's over optimistic or not is a different question. But the point of the matter is that's a bearish structure. And I think, by the time this video gets out, you guys would know the result of this structure, most likely. If it breaks to the upside, that would make a lot more sense. No, not as per the TA in the short term. The TA in the short term says we got to break to the downside, but macro speaking, it would make a lot more sense for us to see a bounce off this major support line. It would make a lot more sense for people to get faked out. They'd think, oh, well, the bottom's in. Look, we bounced off the major support. We're up here at like 28k. They'd think the bottom's in at that point, and then one more final scam dump just to kind of shake them all out before we actually bottom out. And that would be when you start to see the crypto's dead articles coming out. Look, I would say that's most likely. But again, what I think and what I think is going to happen and my predictions, it's irrelevant because I'm a breakout trader, right? And that's what I try to get people to understand. I'm a breakout trader. And so when we break down, that's when we can start really making those predictions. When we break upwards, that's when we can really start making those predictions. Right now, it's just kind of that kind of, we're in the no man's land. We're in the middle. We're in the center. There's no real decisive confirmed move coming. And I think that people in cryptocurrency in general, and this is getting into this kind of question quite a bit, people in cryptocurrency in general, they generally have the assumption that, if you're an analyst, you need to predict at every point in time. And it's like, well, that's not actually how you make money as a trader. As a trader, you don't make money by predicting what's going to happen when Bitcoin touches this macro line. Is it going to hold it within the next 24 hours or is it going to break up? You wait for the confirmation of either of those scenarios playing out, and you trade based on the confirmation. So predictions are actually not a big part of analysis and trading, and that's something that crypto YouTube and crypto Twitter have really morphed and twisted into something else. Predictions aren't actually that big of a deal. The only time you make predictions is when you have the data to confirm those predictions. At the moment, we will only have the data to confirm these predictions when we break down. If we break down below 18k, we are going to go to 14k to 11.5k. That is the prediction, right? And if we hold the support line, it is more probable than not that we see a bounce up to something like the major support zone, major resistance zone at 28.6k, or maybe even something like 24k. That's the prediction. The prediction isn't, all right, we're going to go up this week or we're going to go down this week. You can only make those predictions if you've recently broken out. For example, if we came up and we broke above this uptrending line, that's when you'd say, okay, I predict we're going to go to, this resistance here or this resistance here. But right now, again, we're still in consolidation patterns. We made a short-term prediction last week at the top of this rounding top formation. We said we're going to go down, and we've gone down. We went down around 14 to 13%, and so that's a successful prediction. But as for this longer-term kind of prediction here, all I can say is we've got 24 hours, or roughly 24 hours, until the weekly candle closes. If it closes below 18k, that would be an immediate signal for a massive, turmoil on Bitcoin, where we just crashed down to that major support zone, 11.5k to 13.8k. And if we don't do that, if we do hold it, that would be further confirmation that we need some sort of dead cat bounce. Now, I want to look at something interesting because I've been doing a poll kind of weekly on YouTube, and I know this isn't actual analysis. I'm going to get back into the charts in a second, but I'll show you this real quick. So I said 2 weeks ago, do you think the Bitcoin bottoms in to my community? 2,100 votes. 21% of people said they think the bottom is in, okay? And then I said up here, which is just 8 days ago, do you think the bottom is in? We had the same amount of votes. We had 23% this time saying yes. So we had a 2% increase of the people saying they think the bottom is in. And then most recently, I posted another poll, 1,000 votes this time, and 24% said they think the bottom is in. So although the data on that is obviously questionable, I'm not an idiot, right? It's very preliminary data, it's very biased. But the point of the matter is, even within my own community, there is a slightly increasing percentage of people week on week that think the bottom is in. It's gone from 20% to 24%, a 4% increase in people who think the bottom is in week on week. And so that's just interesting. That just shows you what consolidation can do. Consolidation can make people think the bottom is in even when potentially it's not. I mean, we saw consolidation over here in May. And we saw on crypto Twitter and YouTube, and it's undeniable, we saw over this period of month consolidation, we saw progressively people get more and more bullish. And that's what happens. And that's why people say, when people say, oh, the majority is always wrong. It's like, well, I kind of disagree with that because the majority, first of all, it's very hard to understand what the majority actually thinks. Second of all, the majority is not always wrong. That's not really how the market works. If you look at something, and this is the best way I can describe it to you, if you look at something like 2018, and this is how I like to kind of debunk this argument, the majority is not always wrong. Most of the time, the majority is wrong. Not always. It's very interesting to make that distinction. It's very important to make that distinction because we need to be precise with our speech on that matter, right? The majority is not always wrong. The most of the time they are wrong. But we are in very unique times right now. And so applying the old logic to the unique times, that the logic that works in regular times to unique times, is actually an incorrect way to analyze something. If you look at 2018, okay, so we dropped down in 2018, basically in a few weeks here, 70%. 70% we dropped down, massive, and that's at a time in which people didn't really understand crypto. A 7% drop would have wiped out their altcoin portfolios. Altcoins are down 95% by that point of time already. Okay, so we dropped down, in 2-month period, 70%. Everyone was devastated. We then found major support, and we held that major support for literally 9 months. 9 months. Think about that. That is a crazy amount of time. That's almost 300 days, right? 270 days we held that support. People were thinking at that point in time, I was around in the market, people were thinking at that point in time, that support is unbreakable. It will hold. Look at that. You would not think that support would break. Bounce, bounce, bounce. People were buying, accumulating. The price was staying down for some reason. But the vast majority of people at this point in time were actually, they were bearish in the market. Because, we've got a major support zone. But if you look at the compression, right, you look at the compression against that support zone, that's actually a descending triangle formation, right? So the vast majority of people were bearish. We were in a descending triangle formation, but we had the small minority of people there who were saying, no, the majority is always wrong, so the bottom must be in, right? That still existed like it exists today, but, what do you know? After 9 months of consolidation, that small majority of people who thought they were smarter than the rest of the market, who thought the majority was in, woke up the next day or the next, month later, and we saw a 50% further correction, a final flush out. Just when, those small percentage of people who thought the, majority is always wrong, who thought the bottom was in, thought that, hey, it's over, we've seen the drop, 50% correction, that flushed out everyone, and then everyone was bearish. And then we saw the continuation there, right? So that's interesting. That's an interesting thing to kind of talk about. It's like, well, have we seen that final kind of big drop yet? I guess you could say we have, and an argument you can make for that is we saw the largest red monthly candle on Bitcoin in the entire price history of Bitcoin recently. If we go to the monthly chart, we can see that. Do I actually have a monthly chart up? I don't think I do. But the point of the matter is we saw the largest red month on Bitcoin in the entire history of Bitcoin. So people would say, how can there be any more sellers now? And the explanation for that is, well, all we need to see, is consolidation or a bounce. And then, a lot of people would flick back bullish. And then a lot of people would claim, hey, maybe the majority is wrong. Maybe the bottom actually is in. And then they get flushed out just like they did in 2018. This isn't such a surprise. This isn't surprising price action. We've predicted basically this entire move since 63K, that, this isn't surprising price action. We're well aware of what happens in a bear market. I think, those people who constantly claim things like the majority is always wrong, they might just have a lack of understanding of the market. They might just say that because I think Warren Buffett or something said it like once, or heaps of crypto YouTubers say it over and over and over again as a reason to be bullish. But if you look in the history, you look at the data, you look at the price actions that's happened previously, if you think that the majority of people were bullish in 2018, and that's what would be required to say the majority of people are always wrong because we dropped down. So do you think in 2018, after a 70% correction and 9 months of consolidation, the majority of people were bullish, right? If you do, then go ahead and start saying the majority of people were always wrong. But at the end of the day, the vast majority of people were very bearish. Nothing was happening. They were extremely bored. And then even in that scenario, we dropped another 50% in a month, right? So that's a very clear invalidation of the fact that majority, that's saying the majority is always wrong. Well, it doesn't always ring true. Most of the time they are, but it doesn't always ring true. That's kind of interesting. And so, I just want to say that. I just want to get that out because I get that comment a lot. And I just want to kind of say that because as well, if you understand that those bullshit quotes that don't really mean anything kind of have no basis in reality, then you could start to actually look at the charts from a kind of, I guess you could say, non-biased point of view. And you can objectively look at the charts and look at the price action, not a quote. That's what's most important here. So Moving forward, we've got Ethereum, and I was kind of thinking to myself, well, where do I think Bitcoin's going to bottom? I think Bitcoin's going to bottom somewhere around 11.5k to 13.5k, somewhere around there in Q4. And so, what would that mean for Ethereum? Well, I did the maths, I did the data, I understood the fact that Ethereum usually corrects about 20% harsher than Bitcoin, and so, using that. And using the historical support zones of Ethereum, I could say that Ethereum will most likely bottom between 615 USD and 777 USD. That's where I think the Ethereum bottom is going to be. And if you look at the historical price action, we've got this support zone here. Bitcoin's got a support zone currently. If we drop the Bitcoin support zone, we're going to drop the Ethereum support zone. We're going to go down to the next support zone, and that's around here at 777 to 615. And so that's where I think Ethereum is going to go to bottom out. And I think Bitcoin's going to bottom out around 11.5k to around 13.5k. That's if I had to guess. And to be honest, I don't like guessing because there's not much data on it. I think that's going to happen around Q4. But you guys are well aware of that by now. I don't need to tell you that. One more thing I do want to talk about as well is the 6-month chart. And this is another thing I get, just insane amounts of comments on. I don't know why people are so obsessed with the 6-month chart, but they really are. I'm sorry if I'm insulting you, but I'm just trying to tell you what my opinion is here as an analyst, as a full-time trader. What we have here on the 6-month chart, and a lot of people talk about a lot, is a bearish engulfing candle, right? Bearish engulfing candle. But what I want you guys to understand, and they're saying, oh, bearish engulfing candle, that's going to send us down to like 3K, right? It's like, what I want you guys to understand is that the 6-month chart literally does not matter. And you can say, bearish engulfing on a 6-month chart, that's crazy, that's insane. It literally does not matter. It doesn't mean anything. The 6-month chart is too large of a time frame to have any kind of, I guess you could say, relevance to the price action. That's all you can say about it. And if you don't understand that, well, first and foremost, I want you to take my word for it. Secondly, if you don't understand it, well, continue it and keep thinking the 6-month chart has an effect on the market. And if we go to 3K, then you can come back and tell me I was wrong. But, at the end of the day, we've got a bearish engulfing candle on a 6-month time frame. What do you think that's actually going to do to the market? What are you looking? Is your time frame a 15-year investment? If that's the case, do you think Bitcoin's going to go down for the next 15 years? That's what this bearish engulfing candle on the 6-month chart would suggest. And if we're looking at this objectively as an actual charting format and take out all the context of Bitcoin, we've got a bearish engulfing candle here. Where's our next major support? Well, you could say our next major support is down here at like 3K. That kind of is where the bearish engulfing candle would suggest we go, right? So if we've got this 6-month bearish engulfing candle and you genuinely believe the 6-month chart means anything, you would think by default, by TA, because you're such a big TA enthusiast, if you think this 6-month bearish engulfing candle means anything, you would think that we're going to go down to 3K on Bitcoin, right? Tell me if you think that is a logical place for Bitcoin to go. I think even the lost Bitcoins, the Bitcoins that can't be accessed anymore alone, would probably keep the price up a couple of thousand at least. I simply don't think that's possible. So, I don't know. You guys can put all the weight you want on this. I don't think it means anything. I haven't looked at the 6-month chart ever because it doesn't actually mean anything. In fact, anything over the monthly chart, in my opinion, is a bit of a waste of time. So, without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Just to summarize the video quickly, I'll just go over it very, very briefly. Increasing volume in a downwards trend. Bearish pennant formation, Adam and Eve formation. It would make sense for us to break through the downside here, if you're looking at short-term TA. But longer term, I think it would make a lot more sense if we bounce here, we get people bullish again, and then we flush them out later in the year. That's what I would think. That's what I would, predict to happen. If I was thinking, okay, how could this bear market play out? That is the most natural structure I could see it happening. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you click on the join button, you can gain access to Wolves of Crypto VIP membership via the YouTube channel. We'll post all the exclusive content in videos that only the VIP members can see. We've got Altcoin Trading Signals, exclusive access to my charts, 2-hour video on market psychology, and Prioritised reply to comments, as well as other stuff there just for 28 USD a month, less than $1 a day. Not going to get much better of a better price than that. And then we're looking at the Crypto Academy, which is a Become a Trader 10-unit course developed by myself and Mego Crypto. Basically a TA course, technical analysis course, putting in way more effort than other TA courses. We've actually got worksheets, and we've actually got kind of tasks and task books and a trading diary. All the other courses you're going to find are just going to chuck information at you and just hope you learn it. We're actually focused on letting our clients, letting our customers, letting our students, whatever you want to call them, actually learn the content so they can actually find trades effectively and trade effectively and competently in the future. Check out that at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, or just check out the website there. And then moving forward even further with the VIP membership, you're going to be gaining access to BitGet, not gaining access, but you should be using BitGet with the VIP membership. And even as a free member, even as someone who's just watching the channel casually here, BitGet exchange is the one you should be using. That's the exchange I personally use, especially for futures. Why is that? Well, it's got half the fees of Binance, and Binance is most popularly known as the cheapest exchange. So obviously it's not, right? BitGet's the cheapest exchange here. Half the fees of Binance, non-KYC. You're looking at futures on around 56 pairs, developed by traders for traders, and that's what I like about BitGet. And if you sign up using my referral link below, you'll get access to an exclusive reward center, and in which you can gain access to over $4,000 in rewards for completing some tasks there. So interesting stuff for sure. Use my referral link to sign up. That would be highly appreciated, in which you're supporting the channel there. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the video tomorrow, and have a good day. Cheers.